Hopefully it's all done. Michelle, who else is supposed to be here?
So we have
We got the names under.
Deb and then Brian Marks.
See you. Well, the goal is to know.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, it's still 5 minutes.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Hey, good.
Oh, you guys from each other, huh?
Yeah.
Lonely ones on the edge. I think I'm on the RV garage.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, we need a variance.
Oh,
Yeah,
Brian.
you need a front face there. Yeah, we will, actually, we'll do that. So, you know, the way to minimize this loss of trees. Anything else?
And,
The way we want to relate, we don't have to take out
too long ago.
Oh, wow.
anything else.
Have y'all been to Smart River?
So,
I'd say yes. I'm a big RV fan, so.
There's Deb. We have a quorum.
Yeah.
I'm writing up in it
But overall.
Okay.
It's a desire.
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for being here. Yeah, I'm glad I am here. My kids are coming into town unexpectedly tonight. Yeah, I figured it would when Sheila gave me an explanation.
Yeah.
Well, at first one didn't open up. I don't know what happened when I scanned it. Yeah, I mean, I kept opening and closing it. Yes. Yeah. And then I couldn't read the little print on the other one. It was just like, you know, I tried. I had glasses and magnifying glasses and.
Well, and here, okay, so here's a bigger one for y'all.
Okay.
Okay.
I know. Very hard to read. How you doing, Mark? Good.
At the horse ranch.
So Mark, if y'all start and Dr. Martin shows up afterwards, he's not sworn in, so.
So, who's missing?
Ted and Sean.
Are they together?
Ted had an engagement. He's out here.
No, I've got that kind of stuff. Just eat from.
Yeah, excuse me, I'm seeing.
Okay.
Okay,
So anyway, yeah, pictures of the road. And now, oh, video.
Super eight.
No. They're. I mean, I don't I can't. Okay, yeah.
So.
Right, exactly.
I've got one of those. I don't use a lot or anything. I mean, I just. Probably have to do a lot. I paid away over the years as I got later. I've got one sitting right here by my TV and then. Use it, you need it, I can pop it up once the year out.
I think what I'm gonna do is, I mean, I had You know, there were a bunch of them that were labeled so well, I don't know what it is, but I'm giving him a favor, so.
Well, you know, the other thing you can do if you really wanted to. Digitize, and there's services that'll do that for cheap, and then you don't have to worry about it. It's on the web.
You know, of course, as these things go, here.
Yeah, my son and his wife and
And
their
doing that short
7-month-old
one,
baby.
P&Z, it's really reporting to be here tonight.
Yeah.
I remember the first kid out. Had the training, essentially training, no, 6 older to get the technology to do that.
She's started her alternate. Okay. Well, these are also, some of these ones have actually interesting sizes. I think I have one that too. I told them I didn't like it. It's a square. Right. Yeah, they got two. How you doing?
Yeah.
Good. I'm sorry, I think I showed you a picture.
You can show you something like that.
Is that going Kids are so easy.
Great.
You're all sworn in and we
Yeah, all legit.
I'm Deb.
You look on video there?
Yeah.
Official.
It's official.
Where else can you get one?
Oh.
50 by 60.
These are all things that you.
Yeah. And then it's always.
This is readable.
I'm learning a lot of language.
I couldn't read. I mean, I tried, but I couldn't. I'm trying to get the camera going.
All right, it's 5 minutes after 6, and I'd like to call this meeting of the P&Z together. Our planning and zoning. Our first order of business is public input. Citizens can make comments to the P&Z Commission. Ask citizens who wish to speak on agenda items to sign in the sheet provided on the table at the back of the council chamber. We already have one here. There's a 3-minute time limit for each speaker pursuant to state open meeting laws. Planning and zoning commission cannot discuss or take action on items not posted on the agenda. So this is kind of and we will be able to have discussion later on about what's on the agenda. So this is for things that are primarily not on the agenda, although you can talk about agenda items if you like. So I've got one here from Fred Barber. Did you want to speak now or later?
Now it's fine.
Great, go to it.
Okay, can you pause real quick? I'm trying to mute it because I'm getting feedback.
Okay. Say what? Are you want to see how it sounds?
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on for just a second. We don't want to hear you twice.
Okay.
You sure? Go ahead. Thank you. All right, so you all know who I am. I'm Fred Barber. I live at 125 Hill Circle, the immediately adjacent neighborhood. Until last month, I was president of Five Hill States Homeowners Association. I did not run for re-election, so now I sit on my box for the classified documents. But my wife is the new president, and she can't be here tonight. So, but I basically want to reiterate what we said in the previous meetings. Overall, we've looked at this. Our neighborhood is in support of the development. We are particularly in support of it now that we see the latest adjustments. This is 100% consistent with the character of our neighborhood. We believe it complements the development on that side of Copper Canyon very well. The one concern that we will continue to bring up here is the Stub Road Trail Ride Lane. I do not, it's kind of hard to tell here, but it does not appear that there is an easement for the extension of this. Ralph, that we developed our neighborhood, as I've stated previously in these meetings, was required by the city to build that as an additional means of egress from our neighborhood pending future development. Without that being done, our neighborhood could never be gated. Right now, there is not a huge desire among our 11 residents for gating, but this prescribes any future possibility. And so that is a concern to us. So, you know, to be honest, if I appreciate that council and planning and zoning and everyone in the city wants this to remain 2 acre. If there was a need to slightly sliver off a little bit of the 2 lots there on Street A to provide an easement for future extension of Trail Ride Lane, I don't believe that would materially affect this type of development, and it would preserve that second mode of egress for our neighborhood. Gating is one concern. The other concern is just, you know, better traffic flow, the ability of neighbors and kids to go to each other rather than go out complicated back down, back in the future. Emergency vehicle access, having that second mode of access to houses in both neighborhoods, we think would be beneficial. But again, overall, we are absolutely in support of this development. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Any other public comments? All right, then I will close the public comment section. And we will move into the other next agenda item. So this is the public hearing, Planning and Zoning Commission, Howard Canyon, conduct a public hearing for the purpose of hearing any and all comments regarding the development plan on a ranch of Copper Canyon being 55.75 acres situated at the Elk Cohen Survey, abstract number 264, town of Copper Canyon, Denton County, Texas. The address for 55.75 acres is 1313 Copper Canyon Road, Copper Canyon, Texas. Your feng shui doesn't start out too good, does it? Okay, so we will open the public hearing for this. And I guess what I'd like to do is start with a couple of items that we've got here. These are actually from other members of the P&Z who couldn't be here tonight, or who are alternate, won't be here tonight. I just like to put these on the record because then I think if we can, I'd like to hear from the developer, kind of respond to Mr. Barber's comments and these other ones as well. So the first one is from Jeff Dahl, and he said some discussion points. And again, we've got Chris Hartley with us here tonight who can maybe respond to some of this as well. Runoff concerns which surfaced at the last meeting of the 2 proposed retention areas help. Well, certainly retention areas will help. Will they help enough? Have you looked at it, or is that still yet to come?
That's definitely still yet to come. I've spoken with the applicant's engineer. He's aware of some of the challenges and they're working on trying to make sure these sites are big enough. They do think that, unless this is incorrect now, there was at least at one point talk of a small pond in the infield if needed in order to make the rest of the drainage area up. Okay.
So obviously they're sensitive to it and it'll be what it needs to be. And, okay. Then there's the gas overlay questions, which I have a separate list. We'll get to that in a second. He mentions, Jeff mentions, on the gas well and related requirements, I'm guessing we may have future sound and ordinance challenges from the new homeowners. I assume the developer will give them proper warning. I guess that seems very obvious. There was also some concerns last meeting about the entrance with traffic flying over the, not exactly the hill, the bulge. May need to beef up traffic signage in both directions. Again, that's up to the town, I imagine. Vetting the details of the development requirements, do not see any big concerns on the preliminary list. Please extend my appreciation to the developer for listening to our concerns and meeting the expectations of our citizens at our upcoming meeting. Thank you, Craig. And the next is from the prolific and very detailed Ted Stranzik. Developers to be commended on enlarging all lots to 2 acres or more. I still have a concern that there are still 2 acres, two exits and entrances on this development. This can result in a traffic hazard given the hilly location along Copper Canyon Road. Now, given this is Texas, I suppose it is a hill, but any other state would be a mountain maybe. Now, Ted had a bunch of stuff on the gas well site, which I don't think I need to read into the record. He is a very observant and strong researcher. I think have you already seen a copy of this?
I have not.
All right, I think it should have been a copy of Ted's review. And then his last point was, I realized that currently there must be an access to the homeowner at the back southwest corner of the development. Back southwest corner of the development. He's talking about the road layout, and he also talks about the access to the gas well and how that gets handled, and fences and gates and walls and all that other stuff. So those were the 2 comments. Are there any other comments before we ask the developer to kind of respond to some of these things? No? All right, Craig, you want to tell us again, I echo my other committee members' gratitude for your listening so well last time. I think this is a much improved program, obviously. And some of the things that are brought up here are, I think, just frankly, suggestions. Because we don't really have any control over whether you have 2 entrances or 1. That's not something we do. That's the town to deal with. And the same thing goes for Mr. Barber's comment on the stud out road there. I see you have a water easement running up there already, and I don't know if you can put a road, an easement over the water easement, so as an emergency exit. I mean, I don't know how does that work. Because again, depending on the shape of your retention pond in that far northwest corner, it looks like you could move that property line over just a bit. That's a 2.32. So you still stay within the 2, just move that line over and give a little bit of stub exit for trail ride drive. Trail ride? Is that what it's
Trail ride lane.
Trail ride lane. And again, I think this is something you've done such a great job of working with Quiet Hills that I don't think the idea is to make that road. I mean, it's kind of like everybody's going to drive up and down it, but as an escape route, it might be nice. So again, just something to think about. I don't know that we can make that a requirement, but I think again, since you have such great development with the Quiet Hills folks, you might look at that in conjunction with Chris and see if there's you might see if there's some way you could figure out to make something with that stuff. As long as you've got an easement there for water anyway, the homeowner isn't going to be able to build on that portion of the lot. So it is kind of, I won't say dead land, but it's unbuildable. So again, something to think about. And one of the other things that we talked with Chris about, like, is there a possibility of making the street a one-way street, one entrance and one exit, so you don't have people coming out of both entrances at the same time when people are coming down the road at 40 miles an hour. And again, that's not something that we have any say over. It's just a suggestion that I think something to think about. And watch out for the kids' signs may work. Chris, did you have any other comments on this, particularly around the gas well? I mean, I don't know that this is the forum for it, but I mean, there's a bunch of stuff about the gas well you should be aware of. In fact, hey, why don't I just give you my copy? Just pass that around and just give you my copy.
Ted's, right?
Yeah, Ted's right. Ted's an exhaustive researcher.
Really, nothing specific. I think the gas well is going to be a controversial piece no matter what. In the past,
It's not to us.
Yeah, in the past, the town has had several instances of gas wells in proximity and the noise, and even though the noise meets the ordinance, it still can be heard by neighbors close. So I don't know, other than noise walls and working with them, that something can do to help that along. It's just something to really be aware of more than anything.
let me add to that, there was a transfer of ownership and assignment from one owner to another. About a year and a half ago, and there's some equipment that's already been replaced. And the inspector for Copper Canyon is working on these issues with the new owner. So as far as the landscaping and all of that, I didn't agree with the tank part because it's already been replaced. But he will check out all of those items.
Yeah, so again, you can have the assistance of the town to kind of resolve some of these issues to the extent that they still have something in the way. So would you like to make some comments?
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to. Thank you. Thanks for your time. I know, I'm sure you're really excited to be here on Monday night. I don't know if there's, I guess football's over and, you know, it's a little bit of basketball getting ready to happen real soon, right? Craig Calhoun, Sweet Cow Holdings, 2301 Vale Drive in Kenny, Texas. For the record. Where do we start? Let's see, thank you. We had the choice after our last P&Z and the comments that you provided to keep fighting for plant development and keep our extra 5 lots and keep that 27 lot subdivision, which we felt like was an exceptional plan. I have to throw the past to give it a little accolade. But we decided that let's just, with elections and everything else happening, and just basically the general feeling we had is like, let's see if we can't just make something work. So we have gone back to the drawing board, and it's been a little painful on the calculator side between the Hani family and us. We've lost 5 lots from the last development we saw. So we dropped from 27 to 22 lots. And these are all in compliance with the existing zoning. The layout has not changed, as you can see, for the most part, minus just larger lot sizes. We still have the 5-acre gas pad. There is an access easement that's granted to the gas company on the very south end of the property. It's a dirt road that they maintain. It's a 30-foot, well, no, I'm gonna misquote my numbers because I don't have the big plan. There is, yeah, I might, if you have a spare. Yeah. That would be great. Okay, so there is an ingress and egress gravel driveway that is on that back end of the on the southwest corner, as was mentioned earlier. And I'm not seeing.
It goes all the way to the back of the property, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's in the back of the property. And it would be an area that is maintained by the oil company. And you can, if you drive by there, you'll see it now. That's how they come in and out. Now, is there an option for us to create a gate on the main street, on Street C, after the completion of this development? I think that would be a point that could be negotiated, but maybe we want to keep the trucks and the noise at the back there. And at that point, you really only have one neighbor who's impacted by that, who's already, they're already using that. Lantana has already been familiar and accustomed to the noises and the traffic that's happened because of the gas pack. Because all of those homes on that south corner it's Lantana right there, directly across. Within, as you see the 300-foot building line circumference drawings, you'll see that there's obviously been some exceptions made in Lantana. So from what we can see, to that building line. We don't plan on making it. We're not asking for any exceptions to the 300-foot building line. So there's two well sites, and they've both been outlined. And as you can see, the gray markers on this map are, it's a building pad marker, a 50 by 90, 4,500 square foot building pad, just to give us an idea, will that size of a home fit given all of the setbacks required? Because there are variable setbacks in the zoning ordinance, depending on whether it's neighboring Copper Canyon Road, it's neighboring an existing road, front, side, and rear yard setbacks. So it's in compliance with all of that. As far as addressing the noise with the gas pad, we haven't got that far. Right now, we're just seeking, this is plan generally accepted by the town. After, after months now of us really working to try to make this a great community that's going to be supported by the town, we feel like we're real close. Now, if I could address the emergency access easement. We had the fire chief here last time. He said that any development under 30 lots is not required to have a double entrance, but we actually are doing a double entrance with only 22 lots. It's not required, according to his records and according to everything our engineers have done the studying of the code, to have another road and another section carved out. As you can see, the lot sizes are tight. We do have a little extra visible surface area on that corner lot at 2.34 acres, but we also have a 3/4 acre detention in that area that's already taken up. So we take from that, you're going to end up devaluing the property by adding an emergency access easement there. Now, can it be done? I suppose it could. Do we want to? We really don't. Especially because we've lost our 5 lots, which has already lowered the value of the property. And then by squeezing in another 60-foot easement in there, beyond the water line easement, we feel like we're not interested in that. It's not required. We already exceed the fire code requirements by having a double entry into the neighborhood with only 22 lots. So I understand it's a point of, it does open up some options potentially for a gated neighborhood. As Fred mentioned earlier, there was opposition to us having an open from the homeowners in Quiet Hill. So we're trying to balance this out here. There's the economics of losing 5 lots so that we can comply with zoning. We're exceeding the fire code by having 2 entries. So by asking to have us have a second way to get in and out, so potentially down the road, when the HOA does maybe want to have a gated neighborhood up north, the numbers are very, very expensive. Even if we just add it and it's just a dirt road, and we end up with a locked gate there, then that's an additional item that the HOA would have to, if there is an HOA on this, which hasn't been determined yet. But if we do have an HOA, it would have to be something that would be maintained. So, if you put in concrete, it's a huge expense. If we just throw the easement in there, it squeezes these lot sizes and devalues the property. For what reason? Is my question. And so I know we might have a little differing opinion on that with some of the residents in Quiet Hill. We're not trying to be obstinate. We're just trying to be realistic. And this is where we've arrived at what we can do. And we do appreciate their cooperation. On that side note, we would prefer in our development, as I mentioned last month, is to mirror the same fencing type that Quiet Hill has, so we can create some continuity and have this look as nice, where I shouldn't say better. Maybe the choice of paint, maybe we can agree on a different paint. But, on the pipes, I know they're copper, but copper's a really hard color to imitate unless it's real copper, and I don't think any of us want to spend real copper. Anyway, my point is,
I picked up the color.
I knew it. It's inevitable. Of course you did. Sorry, everything's fine. So I guess that's my point on the. We'd like to see this be a very nice looking neighborhood. The last thing I want is a 60-foot wide area that can't be utilized realistically for any building, and it's growing weeds and having to be maintained just for the future what if possibility. Now, if we subdivided this into 10-acre lots, and then there was a requirement because for whatever reason we needed more emergency access, I could see that. But this is the way we have it laid out right now is already exceeding the code. So I think I made myself clear. Gas pad and noise, I don't have answers to all those questions. There's so much regulation around it on the county, the state, and the county, and on the town level, as I just learned. There's a lot of oversight there, and there's a limited amount of stuff we can do. What has taken us so long to get here from August of last year was honestly just defining how big and the actual location of their 5-acre lease. And it dovetails perfectly into this existing plan, where it creates much more of a buffer space than if you drive by today, you'll see about 3 acres that's fenced off. That's been expanded, their actual surface area is gonna be much bigger than that. So it'll create a large buffer zone for noise and for traffic and for all the other concerns. Okay, did I address those questions? We have been in touch with the engineer, and Chris has been great. We want to comply with all the ordinances and that are required for engineering this. It does make it a little easier to have bigger lots. I mean, the smaller you get those lots, the more you have to tweak your drainage and some of your requirements because just of the nature of the beast. So, any questions for me? I can do this back.
Thank you. Just an observation, my wife used to live out in the country, beautiful, lovely country. Somebody bought the land across the street for the mobile home park on it. And it was, because without the country, no rules, you can do whatever you want, jump cars on blocks. And she was so upset about it, and she told me that her rule from now on is if you want to protect your view, you better own it. So I was gonna say, Fred, what you need to do is go back to your neighbors, pass the hat and buy that lot.
Actually, it's like 2 lots.
Yeah. Maybe you could shape the trapezoid just a little so you can have one lot. Anyway, so I hear what you're saying, and I wouldn't probably make a decision myself. And again, that's not our role here. We're just kind of assisting and kind of trying to make the best development for the town.
Thank you.
So,
I did want to bring up a couple of points after the last meeting. I felt it was fair to everyone to go back to the original minutes. Which, if you've ever seen our minutes, they're usually, back then, they were maybe 40 pages long, very detailed. When they talked about trailhead or that, the general discussion was to have that for large trucks. I think Matt, the fire chief, was here at the time. He did talk about that would be a good place for them to angle in, but.
not necessarily to exit, but just to turn around.
Right, and just turn, especially if they have the, not the ladder, but the next one down. So he talked about all of that, but all of the minutes, and I pulled like all the minutes that were relative to Quiet Hills, and there was no motion to have that stub off for another development.
Okay, good. So that answers the question.
And I think Quiet Hill is the best roundabout. I don't know, I haven't driven around the entire town yet, but that's, I imagine you've had some moving trucks in there, semis, and they can make it around that roundabout.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's not a cul-de-sac, it's a full circle, right? Remember, I believe.
On my personal property, I've got like, I don't know, 1/4 acres I can't do anything on because it's a fire truck turnaround. So this fire truck turnaround thing is a pretty big issue.
And that was a discussion.
Yeah, so I mean, and so that's good news for you. So again, no requirement from the past, whatever. Okay, any other comments?
Just real quick, if the intention is to maintain the existing gas well access on the south side, you'll need an easement on that first lot, and you'll also need a drainage easement across the whole gas pad. Make sure that you can maintain the ditch that you've got coming through there and the access.
Yeah, there currently is an easement recorded for the access on the backside, but it would have to be, it would have to be included in the sale of that lot.
Right, you just, and that would make sure that would go on your final plat, and the documentation would follow through.
Right.
So that water line is the same water line currently go down.
Correct, it's linked.
Yeah, and the engineer, should I have this on record?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know, like, these things are weird. If you ever watch them, you can't tell what somebody's saying. So you did suggest that we connect to that water main that's coming down from Trail Right, and we're open to that. I can't remember the easement, was it 20-foot, 10-foot utility easement for the water?
Yeah, I don't remember,
It's 15
I don't
feet, I
remember
think.
offhand either, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's 15
It was minimal compared to a 60-foot right of way for a road. So And we were willing to do that. The engineers added that onto the plan as a connection. So, okay.
So that would be the main water for the whole development.
Correct, that actually came out of the meeting minutes that I found, was that was one of the items specifically discussed, is they had to bring that stuff down, and any future development should go ahead and plan on looping that. So that was, a discussion we had.
That's another issue that this always comes up, is looping for water lines. But this actually works in your favor.
Yeah, I think so. Right?
Mhm.
You need to just win one every now and then.
Yeah, that's good. We appreciate you stubbing in the water, that's for sure. Okay, any other questions?
Chris, anything?
No, I'd still like to see documentation from EMS on that emergency access. I know we discussed it a little bit.
Yeah, I can request it. I had not gone back to ask for a formal
Okay,
note, but I can sure that they can provide us one.
Yeah.
So I'll work on that.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, tell me where we are in the process here. In other words, what do we do tonight? We're not sending this to the council, right, or are we?
Yes,
We
you
should,
you
go ahead.
will recommend approval or disapproval of the
Okay.
development plan.
All right, good. Okay, so just, okay, right. So I would entertain a motion from the, whether or not to recommend this to council.
Mark, can we close the public hearing?
Oh, yeah, okay. I officially close public hearing. Now we move into discussion.
Make a motion that we, approve this, put that on to the council. for
Second,
approval.
second. Any discussion beyond what we've already had? No? So for a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we got four positives, unanimous, of people here to send this to the council for their consideration.
The next thing will be the preliminary plat and final plat, and sometimes they submit them together.
I think that's the end of it here, right?
Consent,
We have the consent item, yes. We have one consent item, which is to approve the January 23rd minutes, which was the last meeting where this was discussed. Do I have a motion to approve those? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's the consent item carries. Other than that, anything else we need to discuss? I don't think so. I'm saying on the agenda, and we're not allowed to discuss things that are not on the agenda, so. Take a motion to adjourn.
So good.
Second, all in favor? I'd like to welcome our new member, by the way, our latest addition. Thank you for coming tonight. It's good to earn your spurs in an easy one.
Yeah.
Right?